Hello, guys. If your dream is to study in Canada, then we are here to help you achieve this dream. In this video, you are going to learn how to get a fully funded loan to study in Canada. And the interesting part is that this loan is going to cover your full tuition fee, your living expenses, and most importantly, your proof of funds. As you can see, I have a guest with me, Bobby, who is part of a company called Passage in Canada. And this is the company that is going to be helping you to achieve your dream of studying in Canada. So all I ask from you is to stick around. Make sure to watch this video right till the end because I'm going to be asking Bobby a lot of questions. And with these questions, you will be able to understand how you can get a loan from Passage and all that is involved. So make sure to watch right to the end. This video is definitely going to be a plus to you. So make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Share this video to someone because this is definitely going to be beneficial to whoever you send this video to. Bobby, it's nice to have you on my channel. I believe my audience would want to know more about you. Kindly introduce yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. First off, thanks so much for having me, and thanks everybody for listening. My name is Bobby Green. I'm one of the people who started this company, and I'm the Chief Growth Officer here. I've been in tech for a decade. My first company was a medical device company, and then I've been working with Martin Basiri, the founder of Passage and originally the founder of Applyboard, on helping amazing people all over the world access better opportunities. And I'm really excited about some of the hard problems we're solving to enable all of you to pursue your ambitions wherever those take you.
Thank you very much. I have a lot of questions, so I'm going to be looking into my phone sometimes. There's a whole heap of questions right here. I believe you are ready to enlighten us more about Passage. So the very first question is, how would you describe Passage and what is the idea? What is the idea about Passage?
Let me give you two. Okay, so the one is, what is our ambition and what are we trying to build? Passage is building the deeper infrastructure, most of the stuff that you don't even see, so that we can fund deserving people all over planet Earth to pursue their ambitions. So 5 or 10 years from now, our vision is, I don't care what country, what parents, what nationality, what gender, what religion, if you're a deserving person and you're trying to pursue your ambitions, whether it's education, direct permanent residency, you want to be the world's best researcher or entrepreneur, I want to be able to fund you to make sure that money isn't the thing blocking you from pursuing your dreams. Now, maybe more tangibly today, what are we doing? We're focused on funding awesome people all over the world to help solve labor shortages in Canada. And I guess there's some interesting follow-up questions, but I'll let you lead there.
Okay, quite interesting, What are the benefits of choosing Passage over other loan companies in Canada or wherever? And also, why should I trust Passage?
Okay, let's start on the first one. So the honest answer is, for most people, there is no alternative. There's almost no financing available for the vast majority of programs, especially for Canada, that exist. For people going to the top of the top schools in the UK or the US, there are really great options by Prodigy and Empower. I'm a huge fan of, and they're offering schools across the US. What's different about Passage is, number one, we're focusing on schools in Canada, but two, it's this focus on not just students going to the top of the top, the Harvards or the Cambridges, but the legitimate public colleges which prepare students for great middle class, upper middle class jobs like nursing, skilled trades, manufacturing, and other jobs that the economy really needs, but we are not producing domestically. So it's a great opportunity for a whole new class of people in the middle classes and upper middle class in all of these different countries around the world. That's part one. Why trust Passage? I think this is a super important question, and frankly, everybody should do their own work to validate, because this is an incredibly important topic. So number one, our founder is Martin Basiri. You should Google him and check him out. He's semi-famous in the space. You can go through and see he's done interviews on the largest conferences with the largest news outlets around America and Canada. That's maybe part one. Part two, George Brown is one of the top public colleges in Canada, and they have a whole page on their website dedicated to talking about our partnership. So if you go to georgebrown.ca/passage, you can see the college pitching Passage for all of the relevant students. Now, It goes even further. When you get your letter of acceptance through us to George Brown, even the letter of acceptance you receive itself is customized for the Passage and George Brown partnership. So every layer of the experience, we want to make sure that you understand that this isn't just Passage as a private company asking you to work with us. It's an incredible top public college as well.
Quite interesting because there's actually some kind of funding for those going to US, but for Canada, I haven't really heard about loan companies like this. So I think this will really be beneficial to everyone who wants to study in Canada. A lot of international students, their dream destination is Canada, and I think Passage is key to moving to Canada, especially if you need a loan to study. You made mention of George Brown. Why the focus on George Brown College? And are there other institutions, universities or colleges that Passage is partnered with?
Yeah, so we provide financing today for two kinds of programs. The first are the top of the top master's programs. So these are the University of Toronto, University of Waterloo, McMaster, and University of British Columbia, and so on. We have about 100 programs that are on the technical master side. So these are masters in computer science, artificial intelligence, applied mathematics, those kind of programs. Okay, that's one bucket. The second bucket are these college programs that are tailored to be matched to labor shortages and future PR pathways. That part is really the difficult part that we're doing that's really new. No one has been able to offer financing products for these kind of courses. So why George Brown? So this all comes together with one idea. Number one, if you're going to do something like this and it's brand new and it involves money, you need to go and create the realization of all of these different people, the banks and the schools and the government, that this is a great idea, that this actually isn't as risky as maybe it feels to them at first glance. So when we looked at all of the data of which programs were leading international students in Canada to be really successful, George Brown was top of the list. Once we met with their leadership team, it was very clear that they had the exact same vision for the future as we did. And so the match just worked, okay? If you take the programs in STEM, healthcare, and skilled trades that George Brown offers, they have incredible success of international student graduates getting relevant jobs with good pay and ending up being set up well for a future permanent residency push in Canada. And since we're starting out, I really want to make sure every single student is successful and is set up to do awesome things so we can get this set up to help way more students down the line. So basically, one answer is we're starting small to make sure we can give the best experience possible. But two, I really need to make sure every student is successful so I can go and show that this is a really great idea so I can help 100,000 kids next year and 1 million kids the year after.
Thank you very much, Bobby, so far. Right now, let's get a little bit deeper. So if there's someone out there who needs a loan, what are the very first steps to take if I need a loan from Passage?
My recommendation would be to go to app.passage.com. You'll see a layout where you can explore all the different programs we offer. And when you click on a program, you can go down and explore all the levels of details your curiosity might want to know. So everything from what type of degree is it, when does it start, how much does it cost, the explanation of what is the program, eligibility requirements, even the details of all of the financing available for that specific program. So I think it's really up to the student to understand what is a good fit for their interest and skill set. Once they have a rough idea of what kind of program they're looking for, they can either feel confident enough to go get the documentation they need together, the transcript and certification, the English proficiency exam or exemption, some of the basic documents you need for study abroad. And then they can apply, or they can reach out directly to us and we can help guide them through the process. It's hard to cover every specific situation. Every school and every program within every school has its own eligibility requirements, not to mention different for every source country. So let me provide the high level and then people can follow up with me directly for the specifics. So in general, what do you need when you're applying for study abroad? You obviously need a valid passport. You need proof of whatever education you have completed to date, both high school equivalent and secondary education, whether those are vocational schools, a college or university program. And those certifications and transcripts need to be notarized and make sure that they're translated into English, okay? Now, you also almost always need a proof of English proficiency, the IELTS or the TOEFL. But for a huge chunk of Africa, you are exempt as long as the education you've received was in the medium of instruction of English.
Once you discover a program on the Passage website, you can go ahead to contact Passage and you can get further information on the next steps, I believe, yeah?
Absolutely.
So I have a very important question. Can students apply to universities or the college through Passage? So you don't have to go to the university's website. You can just apply for admission through Passage. Is that possible?
Absolutely, yeah. For all of the college programs, you can apply right through Passage for the letter of acceptance, then the financing, and then we provide the letter that helps you with your study permit. Now, for the master's programs, it is a different experience, okay? So think universities and master's programs is one experience, college programs is another. For the master's programs, you do need to apply directly through the university. Then once you get your letter of acceptance, you come to Passage and apply for the loan.
Thank you very much. Another follow-up question to that is, do you offer any assistance in applying for study permits?
For every student that goes through Passage, we offer a letter of support. That's one of the key documents you need in the application for the study permit. So there's a section where the government wants to know that you have enough money to support yourself while in Canada. So importantly for the college students, having the right amount of coverage is actually a pretty important factor on whether you're ultimately going to get a yes or a no from the Canadian border agents. So what Passage does is we actually work backwards from what is best and what will give the most confidence to those border agents, and then work backwards into the loan. What do I mean when I say that? I mean, when you take a Passage loan to go for the college program, when you get the letter of support for Passage, you can use that exclusively for your study permit. We cover 2 years of tuition and 1 year of living expenses, and that's going to give the most confidence to these folks who are going to review your application. Think of all the costs for you to go and study abroad. There's really two buckets. It's the cost you need for your tuition, so to actually get the education and the degree, but also all of the costs you're going to incur just to live in Canada. You have to pay for accommodation, you need to pay for food, maybe different clothing, basic entertainment. And so we just call those living cost expenses and tuition, right? Keep it simple. So what Passage does when we issue a loan, we take a chunk of that loan and we pay the school directly on your behalf.
Okay.
So you just come here, you're ready to go. You don't have to worry about the hassle of figuring out how to get money to the school and so on. We'll do all of that for you. Then once you're here and you have a bank account, every month I will put $1,720 in your bank account for the first 12 months. This is to make sure that you have a really great chance to get set up, get comfortable, and get your bearings well in Canada.
What is the repayment plan for this loan? How do the students repay this loan, and what is the duration?
Great question. So master's degree have a repayment time of 5 years, but college students have 7 years. So there is never, ever a penalty for early repayment. So what does this mean? It means if you come to Canada and you win the lottery or you get a really good job and you make a lot more money, you can pay back the loan faster. And this ultimately will mean you pay way less over the course of the loan. Obviously, as well, if your parents come into money or you can gather resources, they can support it and you can early repay at any time, no penalty. So what happens is once you start school, repayment starts 1 month after school starts. So if you start in September, your first monthly payment is due in October. Now, remember that I just said, hey, every month I'm going to send you $1,720 in your bank account. So if you take that $1,720 and you subtract out the loan payment that you need to make, it still nets out to be around $1,000 incoming into your bank account every month. Because a big chunk of the loan needs to go directly to the school anyways, rather than send it to you and then you have to go deal with all of the administrative work, we'll just send it directly to the school on your behalf, and that part will be covered. Then for all of the parts of the costs around basic living, we'll send you $1,720 into your bank account every month.
Just a quick question. Do I get a loan for flight ticket, for example? Is it
Unfortunately,
possible?
no. There's a bunch of complexity around sending money to foreign countries before you land on Canadian soil. So that unfortunately is on the student.
Yeah, I thought as much that would not be possible. Okay, so what happens if an individual is unable to repay this loan?
Great
Are there
question.
penalties? Yeah.
No, good question. So I want to maybe set the stage and then I'll answer the specific question. So the idea here is that we're trying to fund people who are deserving but don't have access today. So we are aware moving across the world is a pretty big undertaking. So for the students we believe who are genuine and are really trying to pursue their studies and to get great jobs afterwards, there's flexibility baked into the loan. So those students can reach out to us and we can offer custom deferment plans to make sure that they have a little bit of slack to ensure they can get on their feet. And we won't force them to make repayments every month if they can't. Now, if you're a student and you're coming here and you're maybe not so genuine and you're really just trying to avoid paying the loan, then I'm going to be less forgiving. You can understand that. And maybe the core point here is we do report your performance to our credit bureaus. In Canada, like the UK and other countries, is a very credit-based economy. In order to buy a car, buy a house, get better financing, you need a good credit score. And so to get a good credit score, you want to make sure you're making regular monthly payments. In fact, if you come to Canada with Passage and you're making your regular monthly payments, the great news is you're going to have a really strong credit score within the first year. And that's really going to unlock things like being able to get a car and a house and all these things down the line. Now, if you're coming and your intent is to pursue permanent residency eventually, this is really important because if you do not have good credit, you will not be able to pursue PR.
Interesting. Interesting. I think that clarifies that. Okay. Now I have a question concerning collateral. What are the forms of collateral? Because I think for every loan, there's going to be a collateral. So what is the collateral when it comes to Passage?
So normally if you're going to go get financing, the lender will usually ask for some sort of collateral as part of the loan. You put up a house or you have a co-signer or something like that. At Passage, we want to do it a little bit easier for all of our users. So instead of putting up a house and getting all these legal documents together, we ask students to take a portion of the money needed to study abroad and put that money as collateral. Why? It really ensures that our incentives are aligned. I want to fund genuine, deserving students who just don't have the full amount of money, but I want to make sure that the student has the intent to study hard, do well, and have an incredible career in Canada after they're done. The best way I can do that is to make sure that the student puts up a bit of their money as almost a prepayment. This ensures that they're actually here to study and not trying to come to Canada and flee to the US or something else unfortunate that's happening today.
Yeah.
Now, I don't take this collateral and do anything with it, okay? In fact, every month I take a portion of it and I help you repay your own loan. So by the end of your loan, the money you've sent us as cash collateral has actually been used to repay the loan, okay? Again, my only intent here is to make sure that the student is aligned with our interests. I want to make sure they're good, genuine students. That's it.
So thank you very much for clarifying that. What is the best time to apply for a Passage loan?
I don't know if there is a best time. So generally think of applying for study abroad as three major intakes. You have September, you have January, and you have May. What is the best intake? It's really up to the student and their families, given the timing of when they finish studies, when they've saved up enough money, or any of those other details. If you're intending to go for September 2024, here's what I'd say. You really want to get your documents together and you want to apply within about the next month. Okay, so the goal is you should have your application submitted on Passage by early to the middle of April at the latest. After that, I would definitely recommend you to still follow up with Passage and we can advise you on your specific case, but it might be a better fit for the January intake. Now, there's been a lot of policy changes in Canada over the last 3 months. So this intake will be the most unique one that's happened in quite a while. So if you have any questions, just reach out to the Passage team and we'll be happy to guide you through.
Yeah, there have really been a lot of policy changes. So with all this policy development, do you think it's still the best time to come to Canada?
Yeah, I actually think it's a lot better of a time to come than it has been over the last 3 years. And here's why. If you really think about the intent of what is the government trying to do with these changes, they're trying to align the international student population with labor shortages in Canada. So that way, the people we're bringing in are actually successful because they're taking up jobs that domestic Canadians are not taking up. They're producing goods that are helpful to all of Canada. You're going to be part of building the next set of homes and infrastructure, running our hospitals and taking care of our population. And this does a lot. It generates goodwill from the whole country. And frankly, you get better, more stable paying jobs for everybody. So I guess the nuance is it depends on what kind of program and what school you're going to. The reason why we selected George Brown in those 3 areas I mentioned earlier are because we know the direction of where things are going. And we want to make sure that we're only selecting programs that give students a very good chance of success. The government has implemented a new process called the letter of attestation. Now, think about it as a quota. Okay, so the government wants to limit the number of international students. And the way that they do that is they allocate a certain amount of these things called letters of attestation to the school. That means you get your LOA, the school gives you a letter of attestation, and then you apply for your study permit. So when I mentioned in my last question, hey, how should I think about if now is a good time or a bad time? And what I said, it really, as long as you're going to a good school and you're going into one of these areas of shortage, you're not going to be impacted by this letter of acceptance process really at all. It will be basically just the same thing. If you're going to a private college or one of these public-private partnerships, we call them PPPs, and you're going to study something like a 1-year business program, I think you should make sure you're doing more diligence and ensuring that that school is a legitimate school. Don't get me wrong. There are a ton of great schools offering business programs. My only intention there is, I think for international students, life is going to get a little bit more challenging if you're studying those programs at a college.
Okay, interesting. So I think with this, we're about to run up our conversation. It's been insightful, and I believe a lot of my audience is going to look into this. And if your dream is to study in Canada, here is an opportunity, especially if you have financial constraint and you are genuine. So Passage is here for you. Passage is here to help you. You just have to visit the Passage website. The link is going to be in the description box and also on the screen, so you can check it out. And yeah, this could be an opportunity for you to achieve your Canadian dream. So just like a final question, what is your advice for all international students? Do you have any final advice for international students who have a dream to study in Canada?
I have 2.
Okay.
So number 1 is a realization that the things that work, the things that will lead you to success in your home country might not necessarily be the same in Canada. Okay. So one example is, I know when I talk to students about skilled trades, they have this idea of what it means to be a tradesperson, a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician in your home country. And then they apply that is what it's going to be like in Canada. That's not quite true. In Canada, tradespeople are almost like applied engineers. They make really good money, they have stable jobs, and they do really well in the economy. So that's kind of point 1, is make sure you understand that Canada might operate a little differently than what you're used to. And 2 is just a general point. I know it feels like a lot of things have changed, but people should have hope. This process is a little tricky, but it's doable. A ton of people do this every year from the same background, the same everything. So if you apply yourself, you do the planning, you work with a partner that you trust, you really do have the opportunity to be really successful. But know that the accountability is on you. This is a big process, and you can't expect things to just happen for you. You have to make them happen. Exactly. So know that you can make them happen.
Okay, thank you very much. And if you're interested in this, just go over to the Passage website. If you select your program, you can already see how much loan you can get And there, I believe there's also a calculator on the website. You can calculate how much you are going to repay every month, and everything. It's so easy and straightforward. Just go to the website and you're one step forward in achieving your Canadian dream. So thank you very much, Bobby, for coming on my channel. And hopefully we have you here again in the future to enlighten us more about Passage, because I believe you're looking forward to add more features into Passage. It will be lovely to know more about these features as they unfold. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be a lot of changes constantly at Passage. We're super passionate about getting these products out there to everybody and opening up to more schools, more pathways. So there's a lot of cool things coming.
Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, bye for now.
Thank you, Eugene. Appreciate it.